everyone, and welcome to another high-low game of Age of Empires. Today, we're bracing ourselves for a big, bloody battle between two beloved beasts of this beautiful game, all brought to you by the letter B as the Viper, playing as the Bohemians in yellow, prepares to take on Hera, playing as the Burmese in blue. Now, while the players herd their herdables, explore their explorables, and try to get their butts up to Feudal Age ASAP, a pretty damn good time for us to take a look at the Civ matchup that we are going to be watching today. Now, the Bohemians are a civilization that pushes its players towards gunpowder units by making the chemistry upgrade and hand cannoneers available in the Castle Age, and having access to an upgrade that actually increases the speed of all of their gunpowder units by 15%. Now, Bohemians are not just a one-trick hand cannoneer piggly wiggly pony, is the word I'm looking for. They also have access to two other powerful, unique gunpowder units at their disposal. The first is the Hussite Wagon, an incredibly tanky, powerful siege unit, sometimes referred to as the Mobile Wall, because it can actually protect units behind it from enemy projectiles by cutting the damage of those projectiles in half. The second is the Haufnitze, or Howitzer, an upgraded version of the Bombard Cannon that comes with more HP, better armor, higher damage, a wider blast radius, and a massive 250 attack bonus against buildings. But before you get a little bit too antsy in the pantsy about the Haufnitze, the upgrade cost to get it does cost more than going up to Imperial. And to provide backup for their expensive gunpowder units, the Bohemians do actually have a few interesting bonuses. Their Spearman line units deal 25% more bonus damage, and you can completely evolve your Monk line, of all things, by researching an upgrade that replaces all of the gold cost of not only monks, but also monk technologies with food, essentially turning Bohemian monks into food-only trash units. Now, as every player knows, gunpowder units are pretty damn expensive, so to help you pay for them, universities and blacksmiths cost less wood, mining camp upgrades are free of charge, deer perhaps are a little bit less stubborn, and all villagers can be harder to raid starting in the Castle Age because they do benefit from two monk upgrades that make them move faster and have more HP. I am referring to Fervor and Sanctity. Now, pivoting to the right side of the map, where we've got Hera as the Burmese in blue, a civilization that likes to focus on its mounted units. Burmese battle elephants automatically come with extra armor, can be upgraded to get even more armor. Their cavalry can be upgraded to get a powerful +4 attack boost against archers. And their unique unit is the Arambai, a ranged cavalry unit that throws darts at its opponents with absolute horrible dog shit accuracy. I'm talking real bad, 20% accuracy for the base model, 30% for the elite. But here's the rub, here's the deal. Any dart that lands on an enemy unit does 100% damage, even if that unit is not the intended target, which in Age of Empires is a pretty big deal, because usually if you miss, your archer, your skirmisher, whatever range unit misses, they do 50% damage to whatever unit they land on. The Arambai does 100% damage. And to support and protect their mounted units, especially their elephants on the battlefield, the Burmese actually also have several options at their disposal. To start with, all of their infantry get a progressive attack boost starting in Feudal, all the way up to a free +3 in Imperial. And you, like the Bohemian, can go the route of the Spellcaster, the Monk. If you go this route, all monk techs are actually 50% cheaper, and to help you pay for them, take a look at this. Hera's Vision. Notice something on the minimap. The Burmese, they start the game knowing exactly where all the relics are out on the map. Now, in order to build the infrastructure that you need to pump out huge amounts of units, all lumber camp technologies for the Burmese are free. So we've got, at least on paper, a somewhat similar-ish Civ matchup. Free lumber camp techs versus free mining camp techs. 50% discounted monk technologies, seeing where all the relics are on the map. Trash monks. A unit that can cut the damage of enemy projectiles in half, a unit that does 100% damage with its projectiles, in this case darts. So very curious to see. Let's take a look in the meantime as the players head up to the next age at the exact same time, I believe. Holy moly. We'll see at the bottom right, if I'm quick enough to catch it, who actually hits it first by whatever nanosecond, millisecond the player clicked up. But for now, to me, if I pause the game right now, I believe they're both actually going up at the exact same time, which is exactly the kind of game we want to see between these two absolute titans of the game. Primary gold and primary stone for the Viper, not on the forward position, but a little bit exposed in this big open clearing. By the way, Hera has seen the primary gold, so he knows he's in the right approximate area, sees the lumber camp, sees the stone, sees the barracks going up, and it looks like it's actually Hera who's moving out on the map runs into a very, very aggressive bear who tells him, hey, don't start any campfires when you're out on the map. Where is the secondary, tertiary gold? Secondary gold very far off campus to the left. Tertiary gold also off campus to the right. Secondary stone very exposed. Forests in a decent position. Couple of small forests, or rather a few small forests for the Viper. One in the forward position, two to the rear. And the Viper doesn't really have anything in the rear of his base except for maybe this forest off to the left and this forest here to the back. Let's quickly take a look at Hera's base because he is already here and he is hungry for some Bohemian blood. His primary gold nice and secure behind a much bigger forest than the Viper. I guess the Viper's primary, or rather I should say forward forest, is also kind of thick. But Hera's, why do I feel like Hera's forests seem a little bit thicker than the Viper's, a bit more lush and more fertile. Primary stone nice and secure to the back. So primary resources a tiny bit safer, not a lot more safe. We'll see if Hera decides to engage into here. For now, he's attacking a mill, which gives us a few more seconds. Secondary gold, tertiary gold, and secondary stone. Ooh, very exposed to the front. By the way, has the Viper... Yeah, the Viper's caught wind of all three of these, so he knows exactly where to put on the pressure if he wants to put on the pressure. And we'll see. For now, all this talk of pressure, it is in fact our Burmese who is trying to bust his way in here for this one villager who's breaking his back, collecting these berries very, very slowly as a hawk. It's a hawk, a falcon, an eagle. Sometimes it's one of a million things. The Burmese is already beginning to wall off his base. Just needs a bit more wood. Actually, he's got 130 wood. Should be enough to wall off the entire side, but he's got other expenditures in mind, does our blue Burmese, as he plops down the secondary structure he needs to go up to Castle Age. So far, 12 minutes in, not a lot of kills. We've got our first kind of real human-to-human battle here, and uh-oh. Even though it looked like the Viper was taking some good fights, there are a couple of good stabs. It is his scout who is incredibly weak, and I don't know. He just needs 2 more attacks, but he is on the high ground. Oh, how sour is that for the Viper? Hera takes the first kill of the game. Oh, goodness gracious. Hera takes the second kill of the game as well, but how sour is that? Your opponent's scout survives with 3 HP. I mean, the Viper made the best of a terrible situation there. He found the only high ground he really could. He took it, and just barely, Hera manages to squeak by a kill rather. Now, this one obviously a little bit different. You're fighting an archer with a skirmisher. You're expecting the archer to die. And now the armies are here. Hera has double the army count. He's ahead a single villager. Viper's idle time on his TC is a massive 40 seconds almost, which is basically a villager and a half. Hera takes the high ground. Viper is chasing in here. I'm surprised that Hera is running away with this army he has. Actually, let's compare the HP. Yeah, it's about the same HP. He's got 5 units to 4, which means as the battle keeps going, his units will eventually win because he is throwing an extra javelin compared to the Viper. Unless the Viper, of course, as we know these pro players to do, targets the weakest one and kills them first. So many what ifs. It's like one of those SAT or one of those logic problems. If the skirmisher attacks this skirmisher, but this skirmisher's on the low ground and attacks that skirmisher, who wins? With 2 militias and a spearman running around. Remember, this spearman does deal 25% more bonus damage. Look at those bonus numbers on a freaking Feudal Age spearman. Cavalry 19. I mean, that would be pretty damn good, and even in Castle in an Imperial Age, to be fair. Cavalry 19. Camel plus 50, and everyone except the Saracens would absolutely melt to a basic Bohemian spearman line unit. And can you imagine what happens when that unit becomes and matures and grows up, goes through, you know, rites of passage? What was it in the movie 300 where they sent Gerard Butler's character out into the wild? He had to kill like a wolf or something. I don't know how realistic that really was, but in the comic book, once this guy kills enough wolves out on the map, although what are we saw we're working with bears today, then he will become a pikeman, and then he has to kill a few more. He becomes a halberdier. Kill count 3-0 at the moment, and now Hera is pressing in with double the army count, still ahead 2 villagers, and a base that is fully walled off. The Viper playing it very fast and loose, but take a look at his resources. Right as I look up, he hits that button in the town center that makes him click up to the Castle Age. Oh no, look at the idle time now on the TC. A minute. That is almost 3 villagers of downtime, which is exactly the number of villagers he's behind. And the Viper knows exactly who he's playing against, has already created a bit of a funnel. So if Hera wants to engage into here, he's going to have to take some town center fire. And there are a lot of villagers to garrison this town center. But he says, I see your wall off. I'm going to just push out of here, and I'm going to try to push into it right now. And let's see what the Viper does here. Let's see what Hera does here. Will he press in? Will he risk it for the biscuit? He does. Gets a skirmisher for his troubles. But oh, wait a second. The Viper vipered Hera. But Hera's had these infantry units working on this upper house for a while. No villager can really get too close to it. So who has really trapped who here? Let's see, that house HP is falling. Will provide an exit strategy for our Burmese, but does he really want to exit? He has the superior army. Okay, so a interesting Viper attempt to wall Hera in, to trap him between a couple of houses and a town center. Ultimately does net him a few kills. The Viper is up to 3 kills, Hera at 4. Much better than the 3-0 that Hera was up in. Now Hera's in a bit of trouble. He's 2 minutes away from Castle Age, and the Viper just hit it. Second TC immediately. Knight immediately. Let's see what kind of army Hera has here to contest a single knight. 2 militia. Oh, 3 spearmen. Now, they're not quite as powerful as the Bohemian one, but they still do plus 15 bonus damage to a knight, which right now does not have bloodlines, and for the Bohemians will never have bloodlines. And so the Viper, look at how quickly the HP is dropping, does pick one off. There is a second knight en route. There is also a monastery being placed here. Why a monastery? Oh, he's going fervor and sanctity for the villagers, must be. I'm assuming that's the case because he's getting that tech before having even a single monk out on the field. But now we've got 2 knights. 2 knights might be a bit of an issue, but one of them does only have 43 HP left. Okay, does get a second kill, and the Viper evens up the kill count, even though Hera did manage to kill a single villager. So now the Viper is not 2, but 3 villagers behind, and Hera is keeping tabs on this, sees the second town center. By the way... Oh, never mind. For some reason, I thought that the Viper had his resources lamed. But no, he is mining gold in earnest. He is mining stone with 6 villagers. Hera has now hit. Hera has now hit. A lot of alliteration today. Castle Age himself, Husbandry, Elite Skirmisher, and Bodkin are all en route for him. Unfortunately, the Viper has managed to do a little bit of damage here. Hera is back, though, with these Skirmishers, which are now elite. One of them is basically on death's door with 2 whole HP left. And now it is the Viper's turn to lose a Feudal Age unit to a Castle Age Knight. Actually, he loses a knight over here. Oh, no. The Viper's lost all of his knights. He is adding in a Scorpion. I've said this before at this stage of the game. I'm always curious as to the Scorpion play. It's just because you can stagger your skirmishers, and yeah, it'll kill 2 or 3, but maybe Mangonel better? Okay, Mangonel is out. Now there's a monk, 2 monks. And the Viper has 0 villagers on gold. All of his villagers are on stone. Why? Because he needs to secure this location, and he is going to try. Does he have any idea that there's a siege workshop here? No, he doesn't. Although Hera is not really giving his opponent an opportunity to secure this location at all. Okay, the castle has been canceled, so the Viper is not really making it an issue of it. Oh no, he loses a monk, he loses a Scorpion. Hera deletes his own knight rather than give it to the Viper, and the Viper pushes Hera back, and this is the moment. This is when he wants to start building a castle. 19 villagers. Let's look at the HP already, 20% complete. Monk tries to get another conversion. Monk gets killed. Absolute atrocious luck from the random number generator, and 19 villagers have become 0 productive villagers, and Hera blocks all of the constructing villagers. And now the Viper's in a little bit of trouble. What's he going to do? He's going back to the stone pile. Is he going to try to place a... What? Ouch. That one castle. Viper literally put all of his eggs in one basket. First of all, why didn't the menu pop out? The Viper put all of his eggs in one basket, and that was the high ground castle basket. Should he have put Should he have put the castle a little bit closer to home so that he could run his villagers in and out of the TC? This is a maybe 5 or 6 tiles where Hera can absolutely run amok with his knight count. And look at the Viper's army count. He's got that one spearman literally in the middle of nowhere. And even though, again, we saw he does 19 instead of 15 damage. What exactly are you damaging here? The air? There is nothing here for him to kill. The Viper's army count at home is 0. Does he even see the siege workshop? I mean, this is a good game sense out of the Viper to realize that there might be something coming from the ether here. For now, this is all he sees. A couple of knights, even the skirmishers. I mean, once those javelins hit the castle, he'll see those javelins are there. Once those rocks get fired from the mangonel, he'll see the mangoes there and realize that his decision to tap out was probably the correct one. And oh my goodness, the Viper ends the game with more villagers. But like I said, all of his eggs in one basket. It looked like he removed all of his gold mining villagers at the end. Did he have any gold mining villagers at all? No, 0 villagers. And these 15 that were running away from the town, from the castle, should he have continued building the castle? He was at 61%. I mean, right now he's at 27. And when did he decide, okay, you know what, if it was just the skirmishers, even the skirmishers and a mangonel, maybe he could have, with decent micro, moved them back towards the town center, moved them towards the castle, the town center, the castle. But with knights running interference, 5 knights, there's nothing he can do. He can't run to the town center and back anymore. And that's why I was wondering, maybe he should have placed the castle a little bit closer to the TC. At least should have gotten Bodkin. Actually, no, never mind. Yeah. I mean, this is just... How many TCs did Hera have? Just the 2. Okay. A very interesting play out of the Viper, all in on this one castle. And by the way, Hera realizing and pouncing, because we saw secondary gold out here, primary gold. I don't know why I thought for some reason I was thinking Bodkin affected the range of the town center until I remember that no, it does not. In fact, I think the range of the town center is always fixed at 6, unless you have some unique technology. Otherwise, I think Bodkin does increase the attack of it. So this castle literally 1 tile away from being safe from night attacks. And because it isn't, the Viper just loses too many villagers. Hera still has his Dark Age army in the back, keeping tabs on all of this. But this is where base spawn really goes to screw one of the players. I guess the Viper could have technically gone out here, but by the time he sends villagers all the way out here, builds a mining camp, starts mining, even though, remember, the Bohemians do get all those mining camp techs for free, so he is hitting the ground running in terms of mining. This castle is going to fall. It's already at 62%, which means he's only getting 38% of the stone back if he cancels it. And I don't know what 38% of 650 stone is. Maybe just over 200 stone, which is not great. This gold lamed, this castle denied, and Hera put on a good amount of aggression early on, killed a good amount of units, but the Viper did even it up right towards the end there when Hera got 3 villager, I guess 2 extra villager kills, and maybe things would have turned out a little bit differently if the Viper could have kept Hera stuck in this little pen, in this little corral, this trap that he had set and sprung. Unfortunately, Hera preemptively knows who he's playing against, and so was actively attacking that house under construction to the point where it was basically weak, and the foundation was faulty and wobbly and shaky, and he destroyed that house, ran out with his army in that direction, didn't have to go into the town center again. And ultimately, the Viper maybe rushed up to Castle Age a little bit too quickly, maybe sent out individual knights a little bit too earnestly, and ultimately, I think it's really this. If he could have gotten this castle up, this game would have continued probably for another maybe 15 or 20 minutes in each direction, because again, Hera has the military lead. The Viper, though, with more villagers for the first time ever, and that's with 3 dead villagers, by the way. And so Hera racking up only 6 seconds of TC idle time, the Viper a minute 36. And unfortunately, when you put all your eggs in one basket and that basket breaks and snap, especially if it's a wicker basket, it just cracks open eventually, and all of your eggs crash onto the floor. and there is one of the eggs, there's one of the eggs, and ultimately, yeah, if he had placed the castle maybe a bit closer to home, the town center could have had its back, but it is undefended entirely. There's nowhere here that a villager can be safe while constructing the castle, not from a mangonel as well. And like I said, good game sense out of the Viper to see not only his score being down about 40%, but realizing that there's probably some kind of follow-up here out of Hera. This is Hera. This is not somebody who it's you know, it's not their first game, first time around the old rodeo. And so he realizes that it's way too dangerous to keep building this structure. And if it was a maybe 10%, 15%, probably would have canceled it. He does have 143 stone, so it could have gone up, I guess, to 22%. And then he could have canceled it and still had enough stone for another castle. And maybe he should have placed it over here, but that would have exposed his left flank. If he places it over here, now his right flank is open. And even though he's got some berry miners, again, maybe should have taken this gold. But maybe doesn't really matter. What's in front of us is Hera putting on aggression nonstop. The Viper not walling his base off at all. Hera making sure he is nice and secure back home against any kind of counter raids. And we actually did get to see a single counter raid out of the Viper with that knight play. But ultimately, did he build the castle a little too far away from the safety of the town center? I leave it up to you guys to decide, but it doesn't really matter. Viper puts all his eggs in the stone basket, the castle basket, and Hera comes along and knocks that basket out of his hands, says, "This map, this game is mine." And the Viper realizes that he is just, there's not really much that he can do at the moment, so he taps out. Hera takes the W, but GG and a fun back and forth to both players. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips and make sure to subscribe and enable notifications so that you're notified of my latest uploads.